Hey guys, sorry for the lack of uploads recently. I just sort of lost inspiration a bit. But I'm coming back today with a sort of new type of video. I'm calling it a podcast, but it isn't really. It's going to be quite short. But there's not going to be any moving images or anything. Not that there any way it is. It's going to mean I can make more videos easier. So today I'm going to talk about how I think Callum Illot was robbed of the Formula 2 championship this year, or no, last year. I've got four reasons why, and that's because 4 major crashes that weren't his fault or anything like that. And why I think he's been very unlucky. Not to say that Mick Schumacher was lucky to win the championship, because he had his unlucky moments too. But yeah, let's just get into it with my first point, which is my first incident or moment that cost Callum Illot the F2 World Championship was spinning in Silverstone sprint race, the first Silverstone round. He spun it, stalled it, and just was stuck on the curb, I think. Cost him, I think, P2 at the time. Cost him second place early in the championship after having such a good start to the year. It cost him about 10 points or whatever it is for a second, I think, in a sprint race. I think it was a sprint race. So yeah, that obviously cost him quite a lot and was a major factor. Well, not a major, but a point in possibly why he didn't win the championship. Into the second point now, which is ticked up an Illot crash at Spa. Cost him potentially a P1. He was fighting for the lead with Dan Ticktum. Ended up costing him, he spun and out. Cost him a lot of points then, 25 points, potentially, maybe 18. But it just completely cut out any chance that he could score anything at all. It was sort of both of their faults, side by side, through the whole of Le Mans. You'd expect it to be over by that point, but, it probably cost him at least a podium, which was probably very influential on why he didn't, wasn't more, I don't even know, why he wasn't up there, or as close to Schumacher as maybe could be, and why he was so much closer to Tsunoda and Mazepin. Let's just not talk about Mazepin, because it's a bit of a touchy subject. Into the third point now, which is one that I think most people, F2 fans, would obviously agree on. His stall in the pit lane at Monza during the feature race. He was in the lead. He probably would have had a fight with Schumacher. That sounds very odd. He would probably have had a chance at a fight with Schumacher, definitely for the first. He probably had a good chance at a podium, but he stalled in the pit lane on, I think, lap 12, I think it was. Cost him potentially 25 points, and to add insult to injury, it was his championship rival who ended up beating him that day and winning the race for his first win of the year. And that really, I think, maybe cost Illot the championship. That's probably the most important point on this whole, well, actually the second most important point in this whole list, and the most important I'll just get to in just 1 second. But on the whole, yeah, the stall in Italy, I remember watching it, I just thought, wow, that's that fight for the race win over, and it really was as well. Schumacher just cruised home then, and that cost Illot definitely a big chance. That was a big chance, and it was opportunity missed by Virtuosi and Callum Illot. Now, the most important point on this list, because it was 100% Callum's fault, just a bit too optimistic, but this is the most important point, and the reason I think he lost the World Championship. Crashing into the Carlin. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Tsunoda. No, it can't have been, because he ended up winning that race. Either way, it was one of the Carlins in Bahrain sprint. The first Bahrain, obviously. He was in P6, and although that wasn't very big, it was, I think, halfway through the race. possibly he was the only one to have done a pit stop, so he definitely had a chance at a lot more points. Whether or not that was a major point, I do think, though, that was probably the main thing. It happened so close to the end of the season that it probably dented his confidence for the next few rounds as well. The final 2 races of the championship in Sakia, in quotation marks. Yeah, so that's probably the most important point to the whole championship campaign. That's probably the point that he'll look back on and think that's probably where it went wrong. So, yeah, I think that is the most important point. If you disagree and think one of the other points is the most important, or if it's another whole point altogether that cost him the championship mainly, comment below, because why not? It helps a lot, especially after the last video getting about 10 views. But, so, in conclusion, overall, I know, cringe. In conclusion, I think, yeah, it was probably the Bahrain. It was probably all of the incidents. He had a lot of small one. I think Barcelona, he got pushed out into the gravel track by Nikita Mazepin. And, yeah, there was another couple of small ones that I didn't include in the list, just because it would take me about 5 hours to upload the video if I did. So, yeah, I think Callum Ilott could have won the championship if these mistakes hadn't happened. But equally, Schumacher had a lot of bad luck as well, especially in the early rounds, like the fire extinguisher obviously going off in Austria. Can't remember which round. I think it was the sprint of the second one. That probably cost him quite a lot. And there are other small things that Schumacher did, but I think the reason Ilott didn't win the championship, despite having a lot of wins, was just a bit inconsistent because of the retirements. Or, yeah, Schumacher was just consistently podiums, wasn't he? And Ilott sort of was win, then he had all of these mistakes which cost him big points, generally. They never seemed to cost him, an 8th. They always seemed to cost him a P1 or a P2. So that is probably the main consequence, is that he lost the championship and ended up not getting an F1 seat, because let's be real, if he'd beaten Mick, he'd be probably in that Haas next year, and Mick Schumacher would either be doing another season in F2, or realistically he'd probably also be in the Alpha, the Romeo, because I can't say that anymore, damn it. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I've got to say on the whole. If you'd like me to do another one of these videos, say why Bottas didn't win the championship this year in F1, or Verstappen, or why Tsunoda didn't win the championship in F2, or my thoughts on other drivers, more career from karts, if you would like me to do that. If you'd like me to make a predictions video this year, please let me know, because I don't have long left to make it. If you'd like to see it, please tell me, because I've got them all written down. I just don't know whether anybody would like to watch it. So please like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.